When it comes to the ICC, they've put forward warrants, whether it's Yahya Sinwar, Benjamin Netanyahu, I think a few other members of the Israeli government. I believe that all of them should be honored.
New York City Mayor Zohran Mamdani is thirsty for the arrest of Benjamin Netanyahu when the Israeli Prime Minister visits New York in September. However, Mamdani is finally admitting, you know what? He has no authority to do that.
Benjamin Netanyahu is a war criminal, the architect of a horrific genocide against the Palestinian people. I agree with the ICC that Benjamin Netanyahu should be arrested and tried for his crimes, as I do for anyone else charged by the ICC. My administration has reviewed every avenue available under applicable law to determine whether New York City could execute the International Criminal Court's arrest warrant if Benjamin Netanyahu came here. It is clear that we do not have the independent legal authority to enforce this warrant. The federal government, however, does, and I call on them to join the ICC and execute this warrant. Benjamin Netanyahu is not welcome in New York City.
Remember, this is the same man who wanted to sit down with Iran last week, the mayor of New York City. Swift and savage reaction to what Mamdani just said. U.S. Ambassador to Israel, Mike Huckabee, says, would be easy to say the mayor is just an ignorant bigot, but he is not dumb. He's an evil anti-Semite who deliberately lies about serious things like genocide to stoke Jew hate. If anyone should be arrested, it's the mayor of New York for incitement. NYC should be ashamed. A major Jewish human rights organization noted Mamdani's made, quote, no mention of Hamas or the October 7th massacre of innocent civilians. Israel's ambassador to the United Nations, Danny Danone, says, Zohran Mamdani, enough. You were elected to serve New Yorkers, not Hamas's propaganda. Do your job. The power panel now, Luke Ball, Republican strategist, Melissa DeRosa, Democrat strategist and former chief of staff to New York Governor Andrew Cuomo. Look, he's had a lot to say about this, too. But, Melissa, I want to come to you first and get your first reaction to Mamdani.
You know, Harris, I'm not sure what's scarier, that he said those things or that anyone actually believed it. And it speaks to sort of this indoctrination of our children and what's going on in the Democratic Party, which is being hijacked by this fringe, very dangerous wing, which actively stokes anti-Semitism. And when it comes to Zohran Mamdani, it's interesting. You don't hear him out condemning Iran and the Iranians who are slaughtering their protesters. You don't hear him condemning Hamas or the Houthis or Hezbollah. And so there's a lot to unpack. But look, the guy is a fraud. He is a cancer on the party, and it's everything wrong with the direction that we're currently going in as Democrats.
Look, Luke, I've been asking this question since he really started trying to walk this back in the last 48 hours or so, like he doesn't have the authority to arrest Netanyahu. Is he fast becoming, though, one of the main faces of Jewish hate in this entire country because he keeps saying these things?
I think that he is. This is a Mordecai moment for the Democrat Party. They have an opportunity to wage unequivocal war against anti-Semitism within their own ranks, but so far they have failed to do so. Only 33% of Democrats support Israel, according to a Gallup poll that was taken this year. That is a slide of 14% from last year. So they're tracking in all the wrong directions. So when he says things like this, he is pandering to his base, knowing full well he doesn't have the authority, but also knowing full well that he'll receive backing for it. This is a slow fade for the Democrats. It starts out with Ilhan Omar equating Israel with terrorists and the United States on the House floor. It then goes to Mamdani saying globalize the Intifada and allowing him to say go and arrest Netanyahu. And now we have candidates out in Colorado who are winning their primaries by saying that Israel deserved the attack that it had in October of that year. It is just wholeheartedly absurd to think that they are making any sort of traction against anti-Semitism. And if they're not careful, in the end, not only will the Democrat Party have left Reagan, it will have left any decent voter in the United States of America.
Yeah, you mentioned Mordecai. I mean, whose hero could he be? But on the left, Melissa, I mean, it is disgusting that you don't see droves of people. You have, like, Representative Gottheimer in New Jersey this morning telling Bill Hemmer he's against all this. But where are the voices? You don't have to be Jewish to know this is hatred and where it could go.
No, Harris, there's such a lack of leadership in the Democratic Party right now. They're taking all the wrong lessons from these fringe DSA candidates winning in these very blue, deep blue districts with the support of 18 to 39-year-olds, there's now a belief among the Democratic Party that in order to succeed, you have to subscribe to this hatred against Israel. And by the way, it's by extension anti-Semitism. Let's not kid ourselves. We can have a discussion about Benjamin Netanyahu and whether or not we agree with his politics, but where this really goes is anti-Semitism. And it's very sad to see. Bernie Sanders is the de facto head of the party right now, even though he's not a registered Democrat. One of his aides came out yesterday and finally said what everyone's been thinking, that he is out stoking anti-Semitism with these candidates that he's backing. And if mainstream Democrats don't speak up in droves, we are going to lose the party.
Yeah, and I hear you include yourself in that. You're like, look, if we don't take care of this, who's going to do it? The Anti-Defamation League, because you mentioned there the anti-Semitism. The League's 2025 report showing more than 1,000 anti-Semitic incidents in New York alone. That's a 480% increase compared with 10 years ago. And you can watch the explosion of incidents in just the last 36 months following Hamas's October 7th attack on Israel. So this is taking off. It is getting worse. And it's like a bullhorn when Mamdani and others speak, Luke, with hate.
It is a bullhorn to the next generation as well, which is where I see a lot of this anti-Semitism festering. Look no further than the protests on college campuses a couple of years ago and the way that Democrats were willing to tolerate and support them as proof that they are not making any traction against this. In fact, in a poll this year, they found that cross-party lines, Republican and Democrat, only about 24% of Gen Zs supported or sympathized with Israel. And that is a complete bottoming out of the next generation that the professors on these college campuses, 75% of which identify as liberal or moderate, have been pouring into. We saw in the aftermath of the October 7th attack that professors were saying it exhilarated them to see what happened to Israel, saying that Israelis were colonizers. And that was just when we were looking. What have they been saying to these kids for the last few years when we've not been looking? And so if we don't pour into our education system and stop the funding when we see these things happen, we're not going to see any change among the electorate in the Democrat Party or the Republican Party sometimes.
Yeah, no, that's a really good point, both of you. Thank you very much. We'll continue to cover the story. Mamdani will make sure we do that, because I doubt he'll stop saying what he's saying. Be sure to like and subscribe for all the Fox News latest on YouTube, and catch full shows streaming now on Fox One.